So let's get started. So I want to talk to you about Gen Zs and like since even I'm also on the same age. I'm in the borderline Gen Z,
What's your age?
97.
97.
Yeah. So when were you born?
I was born in 2001. So right at the edge.
Yeah. So you're like the proper Gen Z. So this topic would be apt. I want to talk about like this thing with that, like how Gen Z's also got a seat in the table right now, and how like even this thing people are considering their voice and people are changing like the brands and all these advertisement and everything is shaping and it's targeting more towards Gen Z. But what I want to talk to you is about like from your journey and and from your learnings and from the create economy perspective. So let's just start, like for the people who don't know you, I'm sure like a lot of people know you, but for the people who don't know you, other than those 600k subscribers that you have, why don't you tell them about yourself, your journey, and how it's been?
Absolutely, Rakshit. Hi everyone, I am Ishan Sharma. I am a YouTube creator as well as a founder of a social media agency called as MarketUp.
Yeah.
We basically help companies build their organic audience on YouTube. And I am a dropout from college, which was BITS Pilani Goa campus. I dropped out this year itself in 2022.
Oh, wow, this year?
Yes,
okay,
it happened March.
This year. Okay.
March of this year. It's going to be 1 year from that day. So my story is that I started my content agency last year, and even before that I was working on YouTube. My idea was that I want to share opportunities with people. I want to spread awareness so that people know that there are a lot of things possible that they can achieve in their career instead of the typical route of getting a government job or engineering or whatever, right? Like, so the thought was to share all of these opportunities so that I could uplift people, right? And it fills my heart with gratitude when I go to events and people reach out to me saying that, hey, I watched your video, I took a look at all of your playlists, I executed and I got my first job, I got my first freelance client. So it's always a great experience whenever that happens.
How did that creation wala even begin? Like, why did you want to create? And like, I'm sure at that time, back in, when did you start? Like 2.5 years ago, you were saying?
So I started in January of 2020.
2020.
Yeah, so it was right at the edge of the virus and the pandemic. So back then I realized that I was not so good at communicating myself, right? And I had failed to get into IITs. I had disappointed my parents. So I was always in the search of something that I could do.
Into BITS Pilani Goa. Whoa, disappointed. This is those 90 percentile people ki ek mark se chhut gaya.
I never knew what BITS was back then, right? Okay. It was only when I realized that IIT nahi ho raha is when I started looking at options. So I had given VIT, I was selected for VIT as well. I was there at BITS as well. So I was disappointed. I didn't know what BITS was, right? Like, of course, you say that it's a great college and all, so I agree.
Okay. All right. I see the subtle jab. Okay.
But back then, Ishan at 18 did not care about BITS and all, right? Like his ideal college or way of life after 12th was IIT, right? Was at a seat at the premier engineering colleges. And when I did not get that, I was disappointed. And so were my parents. And so when I got into college, I was always trying to learn new skills, right? Like I was learning programming, then I learned about video editing, I learned about social media. And that is when I started consuming podcasts, right? So basically I would listen to Lewis Howes School of Great. I was listening to School of Howes, I started listening to podcasts. The first one I listened was Lewis Howes School of Greatness podcast. I also listened to Jay Shetty's On Purpose. So I realized that these are more for the global audience, right? These are not contextualized for the Indian youngster who wants to learn about opportunities. So if you think about the problems people face in US or like UK are much more different than the problems faced by people in India particularly.
For sure.
Right? Right. So I think that there needs to be a better way for them to get access to that information that they actually want. What kind
of content were you creating back then? Like, since you mentioned like targeting to Indians, so did you have a TG in mind and what kind of content were you?
Yeah, so I was clear from the very first time that I want to create content that I 2 years ago would want to watch, right? So Ishan at 16, 17, 18, who was downloading torrents, watching movies all day long and playing games. What is the content that would add value to his life and help him become a better person overall, right? So that was the whole idea. And I realized that recently I had joined, Harish from Blue Learn. So Harish had put out this LinkedIn masterclass, this workshop in our college. So he was like, all of you join and I'll help you, teach you about what LinkedIn really is.
Back then?
This was 2019 November. So almost 4 years. So back then he did this workshop. I was completely new to LinkedIn. I joined in and I learned a lot about the opportunities that it can bring to people. So I owe it to Harish for the daily post that used to be on my LinkedIn. So from then on, I became good friends with Harish and I started making content as well. So I thought I should start a podcast because that is what I was consuming every day, right?
Yeah.
It was audiobooks and it was podcasts. That is all I knew. I was not watching YouTube videos. I thought YouTubers were cringe. And So then I started making podcasts on Spotify and I launched it in January of 2020. But then what I realized was that no one knew what podcasts are. And no one knew what Spotify is and like, how do I listen to a podcast? So I used to do this very uncomfortable practice of going into my lunch. And so, you have this mess in a college, you take your food. And so most people sit with their friend group. Right? I sit with random people. Right? And I would just randomly start up conversation saying that, hey, do you listen to podcasts? Or hey, have you heard about my podcast? I used to spam the links of my podcast in all the WhatsApp chats.
You have to do what you have to do.
You have to do something to get to the first 100 listeners. So that is what I did. And I got a lot of, confused looks. They were like, podcast kya hota hai? ये तो नहीं पता. YouTube पे होता है podcast. People were asking that.
Exactly.
People know YouTube. People don't know podcast. People don't know Spotify and all that. So I was like, even YouTube is the
even now it's so hard to like get listeners on Spotify compared to YouTube. Like Definitely. I mean, you post the same video on YouTube, you get so many more viewers compared to Spotify, right?
Yeah. I like even right now I don't really listen to a lot of podcasts. When the situations I do is number one when I am in Bangalore traffic, and number two when I am in a flight.
Your house is so far away. I think you can afford that.
And third, when I'm in the gym sometimes. So these are the three places when I listen to a podcast. And else I'm just working or I'm just eating food. I'll just listen to news on like a YouTube video. So that is how I consume. And it is like once I trust this podcast, I know कि अगर मैंने इसे लगा लिया तो अगले 40 मिनट बहुत सही होने वाले हैं क्योंकि ये बंदा बहुत अच्छा लगता है मेरे को, right? So I think the retention on podcast is a lot more because people just put in and forget. And so I think I started a podcast, did not work very well on Spotify. Then I launched it on YouTube. It was basically a constant static image. And then it was a podcast, essentially. Then I learned about Skype, about Zoom, about Gmeet. How do I record it? I researched a lot. And then I started recording videos. But again, it was like, my guest is in US and वो blurry आ रही है. ठीक से नहीं हुआ था, blur था वो पूरा. So I started then doing more in-person videos. So there was a senior in my college who was in third year, and in second year he went for a 6-month long paid internship. Research internship that was paid for, and he was also learning a lot at Harvard.
Wow. Okay.
And he's in second year. So he was in third year back then. He just came in third year. So I just reached out to him saying that, hey, I think you have a great story. And I think people need to hear the opportunities that you got access to and how did you do that? Right. So I did a podcast with him. He shared all of his secrets, which were not really secret. It was just like, cold emailing a bunch of professors, getting replies and trying a bunch of stuff. And
that makes a lot of difference, right? You see like so many people who don't, by just doing that, by putting so much effort, you get like so many opportunities just by like asking.
It's crazy how much people underestimate the opportunities that you can get access to just if you would reach out to someone.
Exactly. Just ask.
Okay. So that was a story. And then the obvious pandemic happened. I came back to my house and I was confused about what to really do. Right. I was bored by the lectures. I had a lot of free time in my hand. So back then it was one podcast on the Sundays.
Okay.
That is all I used to do. And that was manageable from my end. I was managing my academics as well. Then when I had all of the 7 days at house, I realized that this is a time for me to scale this channel. And I had planned out a series on LinkedIn on my channel. So I was like, I'll teach LinkedIn. I'll talk about how can you write a post. I'll talk about how can you optimize your profile. I'll talk about all of those things. And that worked very well. Also, whenever I used to get people on my YouTube channel, I would post about it on LinkedIn. I would tell them to post about it on LinkedIn. And because there was so much reach on LinkedIn back then, because there were less number of people posting compared to other platforms, my channel grew. The first 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers came from LinkedIn itself. It was all external, right? So the growth was slow, but I contribute a lot of it to LinkedIn and other platforms, majorly LinkedIn. Sponsor lag raha hai logon ko, sponsor ho raha hai LinkedIn.
I heard about that also. Like, I mean, like when I was reading up about you, you had written, so I wanted to know. And
it's right beside you.
Achha, wow.
Crushed on LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, you blew. Of course.
भेज दिया.
ये भी लगा दो यहाँ पे.
नहीं but ठीक है. So that came in July of that year, right, when I was at my home. So
अच्छा, when you were studying back then.
No, I was studying back then. I was in 2020. I was at my house. I had a lot of free time, so I made a book out of nowhere.
Wow. I made a book so casually, like just putting out there.
But it was a lot of researching. Like how do you really write a book particularly, right? So I listened to Pat Flynn. I listened to 5 other writers. I understood what they were talking about. I understood about publishing, about self-published book. You know, how does this industry really work? Bestseller ka kya matlab hota hai, right? And how big of a scam that is. So I learned about all of that. And then I just started focusing on learning something and then teaching that to my audience, right? So I would, so 1 year ago, I had learned about Python, right? So, and then I made a tutorial playlist about Python on my channel. It wasn't getting much views. It was just like, 10, 20, 30 views. I made 5, 7 of them, did not work out. So I was like, okay, I learned. I just wanted to revise Python, right? So I was like, I'll just revise it and I'll just teach people as well. So I just did that. Logon ne nahi dekha. And then I get this message from an academy saying that, hey, we watched one of your tutorial playlists and we like that video and we want to work with you.
Amazing. Wow.
Right? So those 5 videos led to an opportunity that enabled me to teach thousands of students about programming for the next 1 year.
Okay.
I taught for over 350 hours on the platform. Right. So all of that happened just because it wasn't like I was expecting a reward out of it. I never knew कि ऐसा भी होता है. Right. I was just like, and ये भी 2 महीने बाद मैं अपनी वो LinkedIn का connection request देख रहा था. तो casually was someone from an academy, acquisition, and they were like, hey, we want to work with you. मतलब ये तो 2 महीने पहले भेजा था. आप क्यों देख रहा हूँ? So anyways, so that वो हुआ. फिर
the person I work with in Brew Market, Pranay, he's a digital marketing head at an academy.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
मैंने किया था
शायद हो सकता है.
नहीं, वो उनका बहुत बहुत ज्यादा है तो. No more.
Yeah. Let's not talk about that, Abhi. Not that podcast. Yeah, continue. Sorry.
So that is how my journey sort of went on. I realized that when I talk about my personal experiences, right, like how did my interview go? I used to apply through AngelList for a lot of internships, and I got on calls with them. And मैं वो call record कर ली मैंने एक call.
Okay.
It was a 30-minute interview call for a digital marketing role.
And they said okay, they were okay with that. Like I mean,
मैंने कुछ नहीं बोला.
अच्छा वाह.
कौन ही सोचेगा ऐसा कि कोई रिकॉर्ड कर रहा है उस तरफ. राइट. तो मैंने यहाँ पे फोन रखा हुआ, रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है, कंटेंट बना लिया बैठे बैठे. तो जॉब भी मिल गई, कंटेंट बन गया. सो फिर मैंने 1 महीने बाद छोड़ दिया उसको, because it was getting too hectic.
I know.
Right. Yeah. So it was like
what I had doing to. वहाँ पे?
So I was learning about Facebook ads. I was implementing Facebook ads for their brand. So they had premium floor
Okay.
Premium flyer is what they were trying to sell.
Mm-hmm.
So their audience were, people from South Delhi, South Bombay.
Mm-hmm.
So they were used to ask me, how would you target this specific set of people who could afford this? Basically, it was like 4 times the price of Ashirwad Atta.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So we had to sell it to that audience. So I was trying to learn that, trying to learn about how can you make a design through Canva or through Photoshop that would make it look that it is something luxurious.
You had to design and you had to run ads.
The copy, the ad, and everything I had to do myself.
Achha. Okay.
So that is how the story went. Then when I was at 3,000 subscribers, someone reached out to me saying that, hey, I'm from Able Jobs and I want to work with you. We see that you're making videos on your own channel. We want you to make videos on our channel now.
Okay.
So that was an opportunity for me. The thing is, I was supposed to make one video, record, and then edit and then give it to them. Now, before this, I had never, worked as a freelancer before.
Yeah.
Right? I had worked at my society, developer society, for free, where I used to design Canva designs and all of that. So then I started understanding about this. I asked my father कि कितना code करना चाहिए, कितना करना चाहिए. He was like, कर दो 5,000 कर दो. 5,000 पे करेगा कोई मेरे को? Like back then, I was an 18-year-old kid who was being told by my dad that someone will pay you 5,000 if you will shoot a 5-minute video and edit that video.
Yeah, that is very less. Yeah, but then
No. Back then it was crazy for me. I was like, shit. ये कैसे होता है? So I was like, नहीं इतना बोलूँगा तो भाग जाएंगे वो तो बोले पागल हो जाएगा. So and then I was like, ठीक है बोल दो पापा ने बोला तो सही बोला होगा. 5,000. ठीक है डन.
ठीक है डन.
बोला ओ पापा. So I was like, ठीक है, I'll make one video, I'll make 2 videos. There was a point where I was making 40-50 videos.
Fuck.
For their channel.
5K per video.
Yeah.
अच्छा वाह.
Yeah. So वो बढ़ता भी गया आगे, मतलब 3-4 महीने बाद I was like कि इसे change करो, ये नहीं चलेगा. So that was my first experience with I never knew कि like this would be valuable, like me speaking in front of a camera, me editing a video would be valuable to a point at which someone would pay that much, and a startup would pay that much. It's not a big corporate company. So that was a huge experience and a huge eye-opening thing for me. Then the same thing kept happening. There were 2-3 more companies who reached out to me for the same thing, kept increasing the price, learned about how all of this works. I made a lot of mistakes. So once it was like, one brand was like, you make this 30-second ad. I was like, okay, I'll just charge something like, I said 7,000. And we were done. 30-second ad ke 7,000 I'll make.
I know.
Which was again a shock to that guy. Right? So, मैंने ठीक कर देता हूँ इसको record. तो मैंने कर दिया बढ़िया ad record कि हाँ भाई XYZ उस पे जाओ, करो, sign up करो, free workshop. तो I made 7-8 ads for them. अब मेरे को मालूम पड़ा कि भाई ये तो ad चलाए जा रहे हैं.
अच्छा, continuously.
और मेरे subscribers भी बढ़ते जा रहे हैं. So back then I had like 20,000-13,000 subscribers. Right? And I just called them one day. I was like कि ad अभी भी चल रहे हैं. So एक casually मैंने से पूछा like how much have you invested into my ads? They were like we've invested like 2-3 crores in your ads.
Fuck.
In my ads. Were on my face.
Yeah.
And I was like, you invested 20, 30, 2-3 crores and I'm getting paid this much.
Yeah.
And then I realized that I did not sign.
But it's your channel, no? Their channel.
It's their channel. It's their Facebook page through which they're running ads.
Okay.
On my face. So they had recently raised funding and they were investing a lot on ads and all. And then I was like, कि कब तक चलाओगे? They were like, as long as it works. मतलब तो वर्क तो करेगा ही आगे. I'll make more videos. I'll have more people who know me. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Unless मैं सर ग्रोथ नीचे जाने वाला तब तक नहीं चलेगा. वही. They were like, ऐसे ही होता है ईशा. मतलब but ये तो सही नहीं है. हाँ. We never talked about usage rights. Exactly. It was basically like मैं बोल रहा था कि इस महीने के एंड तक ये वर्कशॉप है, से कर लो साइन अप. हाँ. मेरे को लगा इसी महीने का होगा वो हर महीने चला रहे थे उसको. चलाते गए उसको हर महीने. Wow. So in my mind, when I was recording, I was like, "ये तो बहुत अच्छी deal है." But I did not have someone who would teach me about usage rights.
Yeah.
About content rights, about ad usage rights, and how should you do that. There was no contract. I worked as a freelancer. I gave my invoice. They paid, and it's done.
Right.
They were like, "If you don't have this, so it means it is with us for
तो
lifetime."
contract नहीं है, then you can even sue them. I'm saying that contract है ही नहीं. Like how can you?
बहुत माता बच्ची थी वो. So I talked with him. I was like, I don't want to burn the bridges. So this was the same guy who was working at Able Jobs. Now he switched his company and he came to this one. So he said that, Ishan, I have had good experience working with you. Now you work with this company as well that I'm working at right now. And then I was like, I wanted to remove these ads or pay me for this thing per month. So that was a very interesting experience. So I learned a lot from that thing. कि अच्छा ठीक है, there's something like this as well. It's a proper agreement होना चाहिए. तो नहीं पता था मेरे को.
अच्छा, so that's been your journey so far, and then like उसके बाद you started creating more videos, and here you are today.
Yeah, here we are
at 600k subscribers.
700 videos later.
Yeah. And that's a journey, right? Like, I mean, like being consistent is also a very big key in that whole process.
My day in the life in 2021 beginning used to look like this. Okay.
Yeah.
So I would get up at about 7 o'clock. I would go on a walk with my parents. I would come back by 9 o'clock. I would get ready. 10 o'clock I sat down to shoot videos for Able Jobs. I would shoot 2 to 3 videos for them on a single day. I would edit those at the same time and then give it to them by about 2 or 3 o'clock. Editing में टाइम लगता है उसको करके.
Of course.
And my laptop भी माशाल्लाह लैपटॉप उसको एडिटिंग में लगा रहा हूँ, वो आधा घंटा ले रहा है उसे करने में. Thank God I got the MacBook finally. So then I used to record video for my own channel. फिर उसको edit कर रहा हूँ, उसको live कर रहा हूँ. फिर 7 बजे I had a class on Unacademy. 7 से 8 क्लास भी कर रहा हूँ.
अच्छा.
फिर वापस आकर के कुछ किताब रीड कर रहा हूँ, सो जा रहा हूँ. So that was my life. I was at house, but I was never, doing anything that you normally do in house. Like
I know. Yeah. You're constantly working and like keeping yourself busy.
Yeah, I think that was a big mistake as well. Like when I started growing a lot, I should have learned the importance of building a team much earlier. Right? Like you cannot be doing all of the things yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think it's also good because अगर अभी जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी 2-3 दिन पहले एक एडिटर ने बोला कि वो वीडियो एडिट नहीं कर पा रहा, एक्सपोर्ट ही नहीं कर पा रहा, उसका लैपटॉप मतलब खराब हो गया. सो नाउ इट वाज लाइक कि ये तो वीडियो आज लाइव करनी है, अभी 3 घंटे बचे हैं, कौन करेगा?
खुद
लाइक मैं वीडियो एडिट करूंगा, राइट? सो इट आल्सो empowers you, but then you also need to have a limit at which you will stop.
Exactly.
At which you will be like, ठीक है,
you can't really do it all. You can't. I mean, there's only like so much that you can do, especially when you're doing Unacademy, too many other projects, right?
Yeah, that is why I ended up stopping teaching on Unacademy because I wanted to take control of my time. Right? It is basically like you're teaching for 1 hour, so you have to prepare for it as well for about 20-30 minutes, and then after that 1 hour you are drained. So you have to rest for the next 30-40 minutes as well. So it was basically like a 3-hour show that you put on. So that was draining my energy. There was also weekends. So on Sunday I would take a 3-hour long class at a stretch. 3-hour long class.
And preparing for that would be even worse, right?
Yeah.
Comparatively.
So it was 9 to 12.
Shit.
Right? But at the time, the money I was making was just blowing my mind.
Of course. Yeah.
Right? So I was like, theek hai, I'll work because I have bigger dreams. So
perfect, man. Okay. And so talk to me about MarketUp. What is MarketUp and how is it different from the regular agencies, or like what is MarketUp?
Right. So MarketUp is basically a remote agency started by me and my co-founder. He's my roommate from college. So he specializes in more broad umbrella of like digital marketing and like Instagram, social media management. And I focus on YouTube growth.
Okay.
Right. So we started this agency with an idea of, I was getting a lot of offers, as I said, right, of companies, and these offers were like full-time roles. So I was in first year, about to go into second, and I was getting full-time roles to work in companies. They were like कि college छोड़ो, full-time आओ यहाँ पे, बैंगलोर में ऑफिस है, यहाँ बैठो and grow our channel for us.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So I was like, either I work for them, or I do something even better and I have a better learning experience by working with all of them together. By forming my own team. So that was my thought process.
Okay.
So I called him up. Previous to that, I was working at a 6-month internship at a Bitcoin startup. So that was basically me in a growth marketing role. So I learned a lot about Facebook ads, about designing, about emailing, about pitching. We applied for YC.
Yeah.
Couple of times. Did not work out, but I learned a lot about the questions they ask. What do you really need to answer them? I was a part of a lot of pitching sessions to VCs and all, so I learned about how does that game really work.
Yeah.
So all of that was a great experience that helped me a lot
That's
when
the
I was starting my own
importance
thing.
I mean, that's the importance of like doing more stuff while in your college also, right? Like for students as well. Because even back in my college days, like right from my first semester, I was doing something or the other, keeping myself busy. Because if you don't, and if you're not doing stuff, like that's the only way to grow. And also, like I used to do things for free, like back then. My major aim was to learn. Was that the same for you? Like, how was your process back then in college?
Yeah, people say that I missed out on a lot of fun in college.
I know.
But you have to do what you have to do.
I know. I mean, like, if you see those people like who had so much fun where they are and where you are, you can see the trajectory.
It is their project. It is their priorities.
Exactly.
And I don't
exactly.
It is not like right or wrong. It's just what they wanted to do.
What they're comfortable with.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's how you should view it as. And that was my experience. Now with MarketUp, I made a lot of mistakes again. There's all a process of learning, iterating through it, and getting better overall. Right. So one great thing that happened was the growth journeys of people who were working at MarketUp. Right. So for example, there's this project manager named Simon at our company. So Simon has had a wonderful experience. So he's joined as a design intern.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he was making carousel posts for our Instagram account. It's like, 5 resources to learn about design, 5 movies to watch for entrepreneurship, normal basic stuff. And then he reached out to me one day saying that, hey, Ishan, I want to also focus on the operations side that you are managing. So back then, me and Saransh were the ones who were doing the operations. Big mistake, right? So we used to sit down at 8 o'clock in the night for uploading one of our clients' videos. At 3 o'clock in the
even the uploading and stuff, you were doing that?
Yes.
Fuck. Okay.
I made the thumbnail. My co-founder uploaded the video. I, put out the title and all. So we were doing all of the things by hand.
Why didn't you have a team back then?
I didn't know. So we had video editors. We had some designers as well.
Yeah.
But the end goal, we did not trust people enough to give it access of their channel, the channel of our clients.
Yeah.
Which again was a thing that we learned overall, that it's not a good thing to do. Like when you begin from a point of trust, it doesn't really go bad in most cases. And if you won't trust, you won't be able to build a big company.
Exactly.
Right. So that is what I learned. And then he was like, I want to learn more about how your company works and all. So we were like, theek hai, thoda kaam dete hain. So he was basically like, I will upload the video, you check it, and then you make it live. So we did that for 1 or 2 months. We had more trust on him. Then he started managing one client, and today he's managing all of the clients.
Wow.
So he went from a design intern to managing one client to now overseeing all the operations at MarketUp. Right?
That's a great trajectory. Yeah.
Yeah. In a span of 1 year. And his salary 10x'd in this time frame as well.
Yeah.
Right? So all of this happened because he was curious, and even we learned to trust him over the course of time. So that's what MarketUp has been.
Amazing, man.
About.
Yeah. No, I love the insights.
Yeah.
Okay. And so, okay, you're getting called. Okay. And so tell me about that. Like, I mean, why did you choose to drop out? Like, why did you come to that decision? And like, was it like because of work and everything, you were not able to manage stuff? Or was it like you figured like doing this and working in marketing and like making videos and moving towards content would sustain you, and you want to move towards the startup entrepreneurial line? Like, what's the...
Yeah, so I told you, right? I had a lot of things on my plate.
Yeah.
Right. So when I got into my college called us back in March of this year, and we realized that I had a very crazy schedule.
Yeah.
I had to attend the assignments. I had to complete the assignments, attend all the labs. I was in a not the best place for creators, the hostel, right? So ऐसे पीछे कोई गाली बक रहा है, कोई कुछ गाना बजा रहा है, right? And you're trying to shoot a video. ऊपर से another thing, our campus is right next to the airport.
Oh.
And that is a military airport, right? So you'll be having jets coming up, right? So there's always that sonic boom.
Yeah.
And पूरी दोपहर ही होता रहता है वो. एंड दोपहर में शूट नहीं कर पाता. दोपहर में अगल बगल लोग सो रहे होते हैं, रात में सब जग जाते हैं, रात में गाने बजा रहे होते हैं, और I'm left with only the morning hours. It is basically 6 or 7 o'clock in the morning is when I used to shoot. So it was a very I did not have the mental capacity to do all of it and sleep at the same time.
But then, like, even bits right now, I saw the news wherein they're like, students can take a year off.
Yeah, now they are very much liberal. Back then, they did not care. Right? So I reached out to the director. I was like, hey, I'm building this thing of my own. I want support. Can I set up a office outside of the campus nearby? I would stay there. I would come for all the classes. Right?
Yeah.
They were like, you cannot do that. We have these rules and you have to agree to these rules.
Okay.
When I said that, then I'll have to focus on this and not your college. They were like, so I remember the exact words. They were like, how do you know that this will sustain? How do you know that this will actually work? Right? So they were in doubt of what I do. Right? So the interesting thing about my college is that unless you're funded, they don't care.
Okay.
It's not about the profit, it is about the funding.
Yeah.
Right? So I've had multiple conversations with the funded startups as well. They also say the same thing that, before funding, before all the social media coverage and all, they didn't used to care.
Yeah.
Right? So like one of my friends who was running a startup back then, not funded, at that point wanted to go for some meeting. They were like, I'll just be back in some time. In 2 days, just give me 2 days off. And that was an exam date.
Okay.
So she was like, we cannot give you we cannot let you go. I'm sorry. He escaped. फर्क नहीं पड़ता.
That's the best. He escaped.
Right. So like अभी तो काफी सही हो गया है. Right. At least what they say.
But you plan to go to college?
I don't plan to go to college. The only case where I would go to college, where anyone would go to college after that 1 year time, is if it turns out bad. Like if your startup goes down.
Of course.
Also, once you taste the freedom, you would rarely want to go back to college unless you want to really make those memories.
Got it. Yeah, it's not like, now it does not really make sense for you. Like with respect to like career and everything, it's not really that, this thing was that it's not really adding that value, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I travel 4 times a week, 4 times a month. Right? So I'm all over the place. Yesterday I just came from Chandigarh. 2 days later I'm going to Vijayawada.
Okay.
Right? Then I'm going to Pune. I'm going to Delhi. Then so I am traveling, and because of that.
You can't do that if you're in college.
Exactly.
Okay, let's talk about the creator economy and the creator landscape. So, like, how has the creator landscape in India changed over the years, and like, what do you see happening? Like, since you started back in 2020 to now, how has it changed, and what do you see, especially in the Gen Z space in this sector? What do you see happening?
So I see a lot of people coming up with really interesting ideas for their content and carving out a complete niche for themselves.
What do you mean?
Right. So for example, you have Rishi on Business. So he's a friend of mine, and he makes videos that have this format of let's rob.
Yeah.
It's like let's rob Crocs. Let's rob this. Right. So those work very well.
I recently realized ROB is Rishi on Business. I was like, oh, so what's this rob videos? And I was reading. I was like, oh, I got it now.
So that creativity that they're putting in, I think is new.
Yeah.
And it is great that this is finally happening in the Indian creator space from the Gen Zs.
Yeah. Man. And like, what are your predictions? Like, what do you see how it growing, and like, what do you see happening in the space in the long run?
I think, so I met Tarini recently, right?
Okay.
Tarini Shah, she's also a creator. She makes like more fashion, lifestyle type of a content. So I think that people are getting more expressive in their profiles on social, right? So like, they are trying to get more real with the audience, right? So that is what I sort of learned from that whole experience of meeting her and all. And I think that is going to continue.
You mean like being more vulnerable and talking about your personal things as well, and not just showing?
That has a deeper connect.
Okay.
And it tells people that, like people shy away from social media because they think that they're not perfect.
Yeah.
But when people show their vulnerable side, that is when they know that it is okay to be imperfect. That is the whole point of being human, right? So I think that is a great thing that is happening, and I think it's going to happen even more.
No, truly, man. Like, I mean, I see such content, I mean, there are two things. People just make that content just to...
Unfiltered, it has to be.
Yeah, and it has to be genuine also, right? Authenticity should be there. That's how you... That's the only way, like, you can also, like, people can also relate with you, right?
Definitely.
So, I mean, what are your goals with respect to creating content? And what were your goals? Like, initially you told me like your goals were to like educate, just to improve on your communication skills and everything. What are your goals right now, like with respect to creating? What are your...
So right now I want to focus a lot more on storytelling, right? So whenever I travel, whenever I do something interesting in my life, I want to narrate that story in a better way. So when I recently met Ranveer as well, Beer Biceps, he said that, focus on this element. And I think that is important because what I have been selling on my channel has been opportunities packaged up in, just me sitting in a room and talking. Well, that is great. It is a lot more valuable. I would want to be more creative in the way I express myself through
That's the
vlogs.
TV thing that
through that, right? So I have just recorded one documentary type video.
Wow. Okay.
We have 3 more scripts ready, so I'll be shooting that as well this week.
Oh, so you're doing like sketches, or like how is it? What's the documentary like?
So these are business documentaries, right? Business case studies, documentaries, whatever you call it. Basically, like 20-ish minute type videos.
Think School type of content.
Exactly. But it's basically like, if you combine Think School and ABTV.
Got it. Okay.
Right, so I have a friend of mine who will be doing those funny acts. I'll help him with that as well.
Yeah.
So we try to engage the audience and all. So I think that is one thing that I'm trying to do, which is new.
You should actually consider posting such content on LinkedIn as well, because that's what Varun is doing on LinkedIn, and he's only posting videos, right? And he's only posting the ABTV content. And it's doing killer for him. It's doing his
videos on LinkedIn.
Just check his profile out. Yeah, it's doing his videos because it's having that funny element and it's informational.
Right.
They're doing mind-blowing for him. One of his videos got like 3 million impressions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it just blew up, right? So, I mean, videos are working well, but it depends on the kind of videos. It's not like your regular, any video will work. Right. Yeah, continue. Anyway, you're saying.
What were we talking about?
We're talking about like your...
I just got blown away by 3 million impressions.
Your goals with respect to creating on LinkedIn. Sorry, in general.
In general. LinkedIn बीच में आ जाता है यार. आपको स्पॉन्सर करना पड़ेगा. नीड भाई यार वैसे थोड़ा पैसा भेजो. ठीक है नहीं. Anyways, so that is one thing that I'm exploring. I want to talk to more interesting people. So recently I've started interviewing startup founders. I have just I think 1 week back I was in Jaipur interviewing Amit Jain, who is from Car Dekho, Shark Tank India. So that video will be coming out soon on the channel as well. Right? Like just as Shark Tank comes, that video will be coming out. So I think all of these things are important because people need to know that people who are doing extraordinarily well are not cut out from a different cloth.
How do you connect with such people? Like, I mean, such influential people. I mean, say if a listener like wants to start like getting into the space and like wants to reach out to these influential people, what's your process like?
It's very simple. You just say, let's just say you want to reach out to Kunal Shah. Right? A couple of ways to it. Number one, you type on Google, cred, PR, team, head, email. So you'll get their LinkedIn profile, you put that into Rocket Reach, you get their email from that, email them about it, follow up 5 times, see what they're saying. Or you take their email, try to reach out to the founder itself, follow up a couple of times, they'll add their PR head. You talk to them a couple of times, 1-2 hafta lagega, you'll get a date, go interview them. It's not that difficult. These people don't really get that coverage too often. Right? So whenever you come up to them and say that, hey, I'll record a video with you, that is different. Right? Because they are used to the typical meetings, boardrooms and all of that. Right? So I think that works very well. Of course, you need to have a background. When you say that I have a channel of 600K, it helps. But again, you have to start somewhere. It may be not a $6 billion founder, but maybe a $600 million company founder. Right? So you have to start from somewhere.
And I mean, like as you started with your senior. Right? Exactly. Tap into your network first. Right? That would be your advice.
Definitely.
now that we spoke about your goals with respect to creating on LinkedIn, sorry, in general, I don't know why I keep getting that word, but what are your advice to like Gen Z and people coming up in the creator space to like make their name and grow in the space, right? Like right now, if they want to start, if someone wants to start, what would your advice be to them?
My advice would generally be to be consistent and post often when you are getting started. You need to know what works, and for that to happen, you need to experiment. You need to A/B test with things. So do that. Also, try to add your own element to things, right? Like for example, अभी recently वो अंबानी धारावी का कुछ आया था,
हाँ,
right? So
अदानी
my
वाला.
Adani, exactly, not Ambani. So my friend just posted that, right? So I was like, she just posted that news.
Yeah.
So I said that, hey, it's better if you would maybe add your own perspective into
Exactly.
it. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I think that will work better. So
exactly. Yeah. I mean, in every platform, adding your perspective, your opinion, and also sharing your expertise, showcasing your subject matter expertise, what stands out. Because everybody can write the news, everybody can state facts, but it's about what you can add, right? That's what matters.
Right, exactly.
Perfect. Okay. And like, what about, let's talk about this thing with recession and everything happening. And since you've done so many interviews and everything, what are your tips to like people who are graduating and like people who are sitting in interviews and everything? What do you think that they should do to stand out and to be recession proof, if I could say?
Yeah, I think that being really good at your skill is the most important thing, right? Like, be it a recession market or be it a flourishing market, if you are good at your skill and if you have those connects, you will get opportunities.
Yeah.
Anyways, right? Like, people are losing jobs. Like, the last two months have been the best month for me, as well as for market up.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And
Why? How?
the reason why that has been is because everything compounds. The network compounds, the
Yeah.
opportunities compound.
Yeah.
And so as a result of that, you tend to get more opportunities. So I had to say no to the opportunities at a time when people were losing opportunities.
Yeah.
And this gap is only because of the skill as well as the network people are getting the access to.
Got it.
So if you can manage that and if you can optimize for that, then you would get a ton of opportunities.
Makes sense.
And it doesn't matter if it is a recession market or whatever.
Makes sense. So focusing on building skills and building relations,
Yeah,
right?
I think that is very important.
What are your advice on, like, let's elaborate on building relations and network, because skills, of course, you can see that anywhere. But as a student, how would you advise like a student like to build relationships, especially with, say, if they want to get a job or anything, like what do you suggest? Like what were you doing?
I think there needs to be more agenda-less conversations with people, right?
Yeah.
So lots of people connect with me or with my friends, and they're very transactional in nature.
Yeah.
They're like, you give me this, I'll give you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it needs to be less of that and more of trying to understand about them, about what they have been doing. And then, automatically you will see the opportunities pop up, right? Instead of you saying that, hey, can you refer me to your company? They'll just be like, hey, I really enjoy talking to you, would love to have you on the team at this company that I'm working in. I'll just refer to you.
Yeah.
Right? So it needs to be more organic.
Yeah.
And that will only happen when you build a actual genuine connection with someone.
But does that usually happen? Like, because people are so busy right today. So, I mean, does it usually happen? Has that, like, what's your experience?
It's not usual. It happens very rarely. Right? Like, for example, I met Ansh Mehra. So, I met him in Delhi. We had to shoot a podcast, and that was the first time I was meeting him. I've heard a lot of good things about him.
Yeah.
So we sat down, we shot the podcast. That was our 20-minute podcast. Then he took me out. He was like, "Chal bro, अपन चलते हैं." Right? He was like, "Khan market घुमाऊंगा तेरे को." Right? So like, it became a lot more like informal. Like, I felt comfortable. So हमने बहुत सारी बातें करी. Like, the most boring conversation of that whole evening was the podcast itself. Where you have to be formal, where you have to know कि लोग सुन रहे हैं, so you have to be mindful of what they can hear, what they are not ready to hear at this point. So, and I love that. Like, the effort that he put in, it was a lot more than like just a transactional thing.
Exactly.
Like, you record a podcast with me, tag me in description, I'm done. It's a lot different than that.
Huh.
And I love that thing about that day.
Yeah, like
That's why I'm talking about it even after 3 months.
exactly. Like I mean, put yourself out there and showcase that that person is more than just the referral thing
Exactly.
that right. That would be something. Okay, and now let's talk about see, like when you started this market up and everything. Of course, when you were this meeting companies, and even when you were a freelancing, you so like you would be the youngest person in the room. I'm sure you still are
Yeah.
the youngest person in the room. How did you fight that perception? How did you like get away from that, like being the youngest person in the room, that tag, and like people not taking you seriously and everything? Like how did you challenge that?
No, I think it's actually a good thing, and it is a benefit
Wow,
that I
okay.
have whenever I go into those rooms.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So when I was at TechSparks, we
Mm-hmm.
also did TechSparks event recently.
Mm-hmm.
So I met a couple of influencer marketer company founders.
Huh.
So they were like, Ishan, like, one of the best advantages that you have is your age.
Yeah.
In this whole room, people will come to you because of your age.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And what you have accomplished at this age.
Mm-hmm.
They might have 100x bigger businesses than you,
Yeah.
but they are also 20 years older than you. They'll come to you
Yeah.
because of what you've done at this age.
Uh-huh.
And this will only last till you're 24, 25 at max.
Huh.
Then that thing disappears.
Yeah.
So make the best use of it while you're in this age.
Yeah. Makes sense. That's a nice perspective to have. Like, I mean, that's an advantage for you. I mean, and you can also get to learn, right, from all these things. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, by being around these people, although they like, even if they consider you as the youngest person in the room, you get to like learn from that experience, right?
It is very crazy. So I used to learn a lot about programming from Geeks for Geeks.
Okay.
Right. So the founder is Sandeep sir.
Huh.
And he has built everything organic, did not raise funding, built a huge business. And I met him. He invited me for a podcast with him, right? And that was a huge fan moment for me.
Yeah.
Right? Because building a site which ranks for the most searched terms in programming niche on YouTube, on Google is crazy. He gets millions and millions and millions of search traffic, page views every single
And
day.
he invited you.
And he invited me to talk to me, and he messages me frequently saying that, hey, I went to this college, I talked about you and the work you're doing, really
Wow.
amazed by what you achieved at this age. And I'm like, sir.
So like, I mean, heartwarming and overwhelming.
Exactly, exactly, right? So that only happens because of what I have built in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Right? And you can criticize it by saying that तुमने तो मजा ही नहीं किया life में कुछ, right? And
Again, like you said, like, it depends on your priorities.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, like, maza nahi kiya, like if you're having fun doing this,
Yeah.
that's more than enough, right?
Exactly. I recently met Nikhil Kamath and Nitin Kamath.
Yeah.
Right. So I visited Kingfisher Towers.
Mhm.
I was with him for 2 hours, talked about a lot of different things, started a podcast as well. So having these people in your network is like, crazy. It has huge opportunities for you.
Yeah.
Right. And not just for the opportunities, but just sitting with them for 1 hour. That changes your perspective completely.
You get to learn so much from them, like by their presence itself, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, amazing, man. And what are your challenges? What are some of the challenges that you faced initially, like when you started off as a freelancer and with Market Up and everything? What are some of the challenges that you faced?
I share those with you, right? Like I was doing everything myself. That was a big challenge.
Of course.
I did not know how to pitch exactly. I did not know how to price. I didn't realize that certain clients would prefer less effort from their end and more money. Right? So they were ready to
Makes
pay
sense.
2x more.
Yeah.
This was the last sentence that one of the clients that left us said.
Okay.
They were the first client
Okay.
that we got who left us in the next 3 months. They said that, Ishad, I'm okay paying 2x or 3x more this price, but I did not want a single hour of my time going into this thing.
Got it.
And you made me do that, right? I love the work that you're doing, and I wanted to grow.
Yeah.
That is why I'm sharing this with you.
Yeah.
Optimize on this, work on it, and we would love to work together again.
Makes
Right?
sense.
So I should have focused on this thing, hiring better talent.
Yeah, that's a very, very important thing. Hiring and also retaining.
Retaining is very important.
Yeah.
I still miss my video editor who left.
Yeah, you're looking at the camera and talking
My
to him.
ex-editor. Where are you? He's having some placements and all.
That's
He was a great video editor. He's now working at some software engineering job somewhere.
What? We software engineering job.
Yeah. The family did not allow. He was like, video edit करेगा? काम कर ले. So he was like, कि bro, मेरे placement आ रहे हैं, मुझे जाना होगा.
Okay. Tell me about this. Like, what are some of the advice that you would give to someone who's dropping out, like who or is considering to drop out for whatever reason, like startup, or he wants to like say get into the creative business? What are some of the things that they have to like take a look at, have this checklist that you made, and only then consider?
So people say that it's a very risky thing to drop out.
Exactly.
Like when I dropped out, it was the obvious choice, right? It never made sense to me to suffer for one more year, let my content quality go down at a time when it was going up, all the charts were up, exponentially up.
Yeah.
And sacrificing on that right now so that I could have that degree later on. So I think that if you want to drop out, you need to first of all think about the alternatives. Right? Like what do you really do?
Yeah.
And is it the obvious thing? Right? Like yes, Mark Zuckerberg dropped. But he dropped when he had 1 million users on Facebook.
Exactly.
Not when he had just invented Face Mash.
Yeah.
Right? So I think that is the part of dropping out that most people do not cover. And that is drop out to grow, not to start.
Exactly.
You can start when you are back from your college classes and you're in your hostel room. Tinker with technology, build something cool, launch it, see what people say about it, go ahead, post on LinkedIn, get free reach.
Exactly. Test the market.
Basically, I LinkedIn
Oh man. But yeah, jokes apart, test the market before you like drop out.
Definitely.
Right? And yeah, what are your learnings from creating?
My learnings from creating, I think I've gotten a lot more expressive about how I feel about certain things. And I realized that when you are a creator, the only way you'll build a cult of yourself, by the way, you have to build a cult of yourself.
Yes.
It's not like, you'll be a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
Building a community, right?
Yeah, you need to build a community. That is how it'll work. And it has to be people who desperately love the content that you create and agree with what you say and what you believe in. And with a population this big in India, it is definitely possible.
Easily possible.
Yeah. So that is number one. Also, I've realized that you have to. People are afraid to express themselves completely online because they fear the people who would come at them afterwards.
Yeah.
But as I said previously, right, like when you put yourself out there, you'll find similar people, right, and they would join your community.
They're afraid that their community would break. They will be like, oh, okay, yeah, what? They'll start judging them and everything, right?
Exactly. So have to break those barriers. Break the norms.
Exactly. And okay, now I have a few YouTube questions. Is something that I also want to personally learn. So yeah, like I mean, what goes into a perfect video according to you?
I think a perfect video needs to have a great hook. And even before the video begins, it needs to have a great thumbnail.
Yeah.
It's all about thumbnail. Like, people don't have the time to read the title, they just read the thumbnail. And the more appealing you can be to the people, you need to know what audience do you want to cater to and what channel do you have. What is the subject of the video? Are you talking about the growth of Nike? Or are you talking about how you failed your exam and what do you learn from that?
Got it.
And if you're doing that, then maybe your face on the thumbnail makes more sense.
Yeah.
Or if you're talking about the growth of Nike, maybe Phil Knight makes more sense.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to be aware about that. Once you do that, the next step is the title.
Yeah.
Right? Keep it short, keep it to the point. There's no point of having. It is great to make it catchy. But there's a line between clickbait and catchy.
Yeah.
So you need to be aware about that one line that you should not cross. So I think these things work very well. Like for example, I once put out a post. I recently put a video saying that Google just launched 600 courses.
Yeah.
Google might have launched it 2 years back.
Okay. Yeah.
Would you consider that as a clickbait?
Not really. Like I mean, it makes sense. It's informational. It's just it has a hook, right?
It works the best when I keep it that title. I don't know, there's something about YouTube. Whenever I say, Google, Apple, Microsoft, Harvard, Stanford just launched X courses with certificates, free. It goes viral.
I think it's about the consumer perception also, right? When they see, big name and
Just-
they see free
just
and
now.
just now, oh shit, I need to get into this right now.
So some of those courses were actually launched recently, right? But it was just the packaging that I want to deliver. I think that the video is informative. मैं उसमें जाके कुछ roast नहीं कर रहा किसी को. I am delivering value that people would love to take. These are free courses from one of the best companies out there, and if you can take that, you will learn a lot. That was the thing that I learned.
Brilliant, man. Okay. And what kind of equipment do you use? Like, I mean, at least if people want to start off, like, what kind of equipment would you suggest they use, like, to create videos?
I think when I was just starting out, as I said, before we were recording, I talked about how I started with a 4-year-old phone. It was like Moto G4. Still front camera चल रहा था उसका. So I just used to record like this. कि hi guys. But as you grow, you need to make sure that you improve your equipment as well. Like right now, if you see over here, we have 2 lights. We have this Rode mic. We have cameras at the back as well. So all of this needs to be there. You need to constantly upgrade,
improve the quality.
I got a check of 7,000 from YouTube. Like you have to cross the $100 threshold on Google AdSense. That is when you get the payment. I got it in I think August, and that is when I purchased the first thing from my own money.
What do you buy?
Which was the Miono mic. It was a condenser mic, 3,000 ka tha, and I got it from my own YouTube ka money.
Wow.
Right, and that was a very interesting experience overall. And prior to that, I was just using my old phone.
So you would say emphasize on audio quality or video quality?
Audio is the most important. Right, your audio needs to be good. Video ka kharab hai to it is bearable. But audio by far is the most important thing. So you don't need a lot of money to invest into all of this. You can start with a simple आता है एक some brand 800 का आता है एक छोटा सा
बोया हाँ.
So बोयो का आता है Amazon पे खरीदो उसको. एक यही ट्राइपॉड है जिससे ये रखा हुआ है यहाँ पर. So this is also like 400 rupees. हाँ, तो ये आ जाएगा and you start to record. बस और क्या चाहिए?
Exactly.
फोन तो है इस पे scroll करते हो आप Instagram.
Exactly, और क्या चाहिए? And like I mean, rather focus on this thing with the content, right? Like search thoda and add value whatever content it's sharing, right? No, I was saying rather like focus on the content, like add value by with your content.
I think equipment is overrated when you start, but it becomes underrated when you grow.
Exactly.
Right. So you have to make sure that you constantly upgrade. I will also be upgrading this thing. अभी जल्दी से करता हूँ इसको. So the idea here is focus. First of all, when you start a video, stop talking about your name, where are you from, what are you talking. Don't talk show. Right? So when you start out by saying, hi everyone, today I'll talk about how can you make money as a 20-year-old and pay your college fees. Let's start. Number 1. To the point.
Crisp.
20 seconds intro, get to the video, and you just do that. Instead of even, like people say that, like the video, subscribe to the channel, all of that. जब लोगों को मजा आएगा वीडियो में अपने आप ही कर देंगे. भाई लोग बोलते हैं तो और नहीं करते. मैं नहीं करूँगा.
अच्छा बोला मैं नहीं करूँगा. ऐसे लोग बहुत होते हैं.
This is all A/B testing. I have learned from.
Perfect, man. Okay, and ठीक है. So if you could do one thing differently in your journey so far, what would you do? This is the last one. Anyway.
One thing differently. I would focus on getting a team early on. Getting a manager early on. Right? Like अभी आज जाने वाली है आधे घंटे में वीडियो. मैंने कुछ नहीं किया उस वीडियो में.
अच्छा.
मतलब obviously I shot it. But after that, I did not have to do anything else. It was checked by the manager. It was uploaded by the manager. It was titled, thumbnailed, everything scheduled. You go live in some time. And that is the best thing that you can do. right? I was in Thailand for a week.
Acha.
And my channel had one video new every day.
Wow.
When I left this room, I had 10 videos sent out to the manager.
Fuck. Okay.
Right? So I was going for six days. I had the content planned for the next 10 days.
Yeah.
So I was like, there should not be a single day when the video is not going out. And that is on you. Responsibility is on you. I trust you.
Yeah.
And you will make it work. So I think that is what I would want to focus on more when I was just getting started.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect, man. Now, before we end, I usually have a fun game. This is called Rapid Brew. Let me just get that. In 12 seconds or less, you have to answer whatever card comes up. Okay? Yeah. Okay. Name a song on your playlist that gets you energized.
Alag Asma.
Alag Asma. Okay, nice. Next up, what's your favorite creative outlet?
My creative outlet?
Yes.
It has to be LinkedIn posts. My new obsession.
Nice. Sponsored. I mean, it's not sponsored at all. We're just keeping it, telling you right now. Man, okay. What's your go-to snack?
My go-to snack? There is this thing that comes from Pasos.
Okay.
Paneer tikka masala roll.
Wow.
I love it. That is the thing that I go
You get it here? You're in like some corner of the world.
Yeah. No, it comes in 15 minutes.
Wow, okay.
Very quick.
Acha, okay. So, what have you done to focus on your well-being recently? I
have focused on my sleep a lot. My average sleep was 4.5 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
Right now it is more close to 6.5. And I intend to get it to around 7 hour mark. That is number one. Number two, I have been focusing a lot more on gym as well. So July is when I started my gym.
Okay.
And every day I have been at it, learning more about nutrition, about what I eat.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had coffee in
How?
7, 8, 9 months.
How?
No coffee. I don't need that.
Whoa! I'm like, I cannot live without coffee.
No, that is what, right? It keeps you up.
Yeah.
I don't want that. I need sleep. So that is one. I don't need the sugars. I have been a lot more cautious about the sugar intake that I have. Right? And I got myself this watch as well that my co-founder gifted on my birthday. And so it helps me understand more about my health and steps I'm taking. So I always make sure that every day I take at least 10,000 steps. I close all my rings and all. So that helps a lot.
Wow, okay. You're very serious about this.
Yeah, I have to be.
Yeah.
I have to be. I felt ill when I was in Kota, Rajasthan.
Okay.
So the trip was 2 days. It was some academy project. We went there, shot the video. I came back. We talked a lot. It was with one of my friends as well. So हमने बहुत सारी बातें करी. हमको सोई नहीं ठीक से. खाना वाना भी अजीब सा कुछ खा लिया. And we fell ill. I fell ill.
Okay.
So he took care of me, and वो 2 दिन की trip 7 दिन की trip बन गई. So I was just sitting there, laying in my, hotel ka bed and all. So I that was in June.
Okay.
Then I came back in July.
You started. Yeah. I know the feeling. Like even I got like sick. I got dengue. Not dengue. They said it was dengue, but later it was like it was viral fever or whatever. I was terribly sick for like a week almost. तभी I was like, ठीक है, तुरंत gym, and I went and subscribed.
Yeah, and
right
like
after that.
if you look at yourself naked in front of the mirror, and if you don't feel proud about yourself, there's something that you have to change.
Exactly.
Yeah.
True. Rightly said.
Yeah. So my weight dropped like 8 kgs from July.
Perfect. Okay. Last question. So, what's one thing you always have fun doing?
I always have fun when I talk with my friends.
Okay.
So I have very few friends. I only have 2 to 3 friends. But whenever I meet them, whenever I sit down and talk about life, about business, about just psychology of people. So he's also a creator, so we just sit down, we talk a lot. So काफी अच्छा लगता है. That is the best memories of 2022. उसी के साथ I went on a Thailand trip.
Wow. Okay.
Right. So basically 4 दिन पहले before we went off, we were like चलते हैं कहीं पे. कहाँ चले? We were like वियतनाम चलते हैं. है ना, तो we were like कि यार थाईलैंड चलते हैं. चलो वियतनाम महंगा था. We were like Thailand, like 4 days before, tickets are all expensive and all.
Of course.
Yeah, so we just booked that. उसी कॉल पे बैठ करके, जीमीट पे बैठ करके, he's in Delhi, I'm in Bangalore. हम लोगों ने वो प्लान किया आइटिनरी, उसी कॉल में बुक कर दी टिकट, And उसके बाद we had to book the tickets for all the things that we will do over there. तो Klook में सब कुछ book कर रहे हैं. तभी की तभी 4 दिन पहले done, packed our bags.
And उसके बाद you recorded 6 videos and you were ready. I mean, like for the week.
On that day itself, I recorded 6 videos. And left. So I think वो एक mindset होता है कि काम करके ही जाऊंगा. मैं नहीं सोऊंगा but मैं काम खत्म करके जाऊंगा.
नहीं, makes sense. Like क्योंकि पता है ना, like you have to get this done. It's like your roti kharcha and everything on that. Perfect, man. It was yeah. It is amazing talking to you. What are your closing thoughts before we end?
बहुत सारी बातें कर ली हमने. वो people are now executing. मतलब वीडियो बना करो YouTube. हम देखो. शेर अपन बार बन जाता हूँ. काम कर रही है. Everything is good. If you're still watching,
yes.
I hope that you will go out and execute on your plans and start documenting whatever it is that you're going through on social, and you will definitely be able to get more opportunities through that. So it's not all about becoming a creator.
Yeah.
It's also about getting opportunities and getting your name out there.
Exactly. Like, I mean, having fun by doing whatever you're doing.
Everyone is a creator.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to build your personal brand. So, like, go at it.
Definitely.
Amazing. And so, if people want to find you, where do they find you?
You can find me anywhere. Just type at Ishan Sharma 7390. And you'll find me there.
Perfect. And if you want to find us, you can find us on any social media platform. We are Brew Your Market. See you on the next podcast.
Awesome. Bye-bye.
Thank you for being the podcast, man.